I have published several videos over the past few years about the restoration of our house. Now that we have moved in, I would like to give a short overview of the last steps of this project. Let's start with older recordings here in the later living room, where floors and ceiling paneling are still missing. The stairs to the upper floor are not finished yet. Here in the attic of house number 13, we turn to the right and go through the transition to the roof of house number 11. There is a hallway that leads to 3 rooms and from where stairs lead to the topmost floor in the attic. It's not much space up here, but the kids love this area nevertheless. Here where the gable dormers were installed for the room below are 2 small niches, each with a tiny window. Going in the other direction, you can see the transition between the houses and imagine how complicated it was to connect these 2 roof trusses, which were misaligned in any direction. One level below, we can take a look at the eastern attic room. A beautiful room with a wide dormer window and a staircase to a gallery which is separated from the previously shown part in the loft. We built the doors as simple as possible. This goes well with the overall appearance of the attic. The old-style handles and locks can still be bought from Hungarian production. The roof trusses allowed only very few places to put in some walls and doors, so an eastern and a western room with a small bathroom in between was the best and almost only choice. The western attic room benefits greatly from the 2 opposite gable dormers. All attic rooms have small drywalls along the eaves. This makes the room look more tidy, offers storage space above, and hides heating pipes and electrics. Now back to the other house. Here we take a look at the upper level of the attic. If you turn right here, you are on the side facing the street, where the gable hoist is. The winch is stored further up, because I don't need it very often. If you look in the opposite direction, you can see again some drywalls. There are 3 small doors, so we can use it as a cupboard. The main motive, however, was to cover up some particularly unattractive joinery of the rafters here. The western side has an additional dormer with an almost floor-length window. Here you could climb out onto the roof. One level down, but still in the attic, I can explain a bit about the floors. I laid very different floors depending on the situation. Here are tongue and groove floorboards. In some places where we don't walk usually, I left the original floorboards visible. Here you can also see the matching half-timbered wall with clay plaster. A very low door frame, because the frame above holds the house together lengthways, leads to a bathroom and more bedrooms. The bathroom is quite narrow, but we couldn't remove the wall on the right. Here a wooden bolt on the door, just for fun. The bedroom was extended by 1 meter and the door was moved accordingly. The floor is the old one and has been repaired in some places. Unfortunately, I accidentally applied too much oil here and had to rework it. The paneling is only 50% old. I repaired it here where it burned down in 1944 in an air raid, and then extended it around the corner of the room. I paneled the ceilings with wood. The former door to the bathroom is no longer used, as access from the hallway is more practical. Wherever possible, I have installed switches with an old-fashioned look, and sometimes actually with old material. The lamps had to be quite flat, as the room is only 1 meter 78 centimeters high. LED make it possible. Outside in the hallway, another window to the past with remnants of the half-height painting that used to be common. You can even see that the stairs once came up here. The western attic room in this house has a very unusual geometry due to the extension of the house in the 18th century. Here the former outer wall of the Middle Ages. The floor is thin oak parquet. There wasn't much space because of the height of the room, and I couldn't compensate for the considerable incline of the floor. The door is an absolutely special construction, set at an angle in 2 directions and with an irregular outline. 1 level down on the upper floor we have built in a kitchen and living room and a larger bathroom. The oven is known from another video. The ceiling is again panelled with spruce placed on side strips. This method was often used in such old houses. The dining table and the corner bench are self-made. The corner bench is made of 5 cm thick, very wide spruce boards that I got from the Allgäu in one piece and is very stable. The table has also withstood every load test. Its lower parts are made of solid ash. Of course, we didn't build all the parts of the kitchen ourselves. We just adapted it to the special situation here. We hung up the curtains on iron rods throughout the house, which are similarly available in hardware stores, but here they are self-made and much heavier. Speaking of bars, the handrails are made of round steel in a very similar way, and the suspension for the shower curtain is also made of solid steel because I can't stand wobbly shower curtain rods. Otherwise everything is very simple here. Here is a look into the former office of the master of the Wainwright's workshop, the room with the bookshelves as presented in another video. One thing that I find practical in old houses, there is always an opportunity to build additional wall cladding behind which you can hide all kinds of installations. The mechanical bell pull also comes up here. The bell still hangs in the same place as before our restoration. The wire leads to the door via such levers. Sometimes it takes a while for the guests to understand where the bell is. On the ground floor we store bicycles and other stuff that you would otherwise have in the garage that we don't have. We tiled the whole area. The white tiles are supposed to indicate the Sollenhofen tiles that were once common on the ground floor, which often left a wide gap to the wall. This gap was then filled with bricks. There is also a storage room for groceries on the ground floor here, but not in the basement. In the back part of the ground floor, the house merges seamlessly into the workshop. Here on the right it begins with an exhibition of historical tools and the lathe. More about the workshop maybe another time. The ceiling is designed as above. The lamps are historical or similar to these. The staircase has received an enclosure so that it doesn't get cold upstairs in winter. Stylistically, a little bit of the late 19th century. I don't know yet what we will do with the basement. It was once the medieval weaver's cellar in which the looms stood. It would certainly be exciting to rebuild one. You can still see the light openings that led up to the street, but were walled up later. A small opening is still there. Coal was probably thrown down here. Here a light niche in one of the original parts of the wall. The medieval storage cellar for food was much smaller and lower and had no vaults, just a wooden ceiling. This room was completely filled in and we had to dig it out again. The ceiling is now made of concrete. The situation here comes from multiple changes to the access to the cellar over the centuries and from the installation of a toilet pit in the 19th century. These strange widenings of the door openings here were made for bringing through the cider barrels. We found a few of them at the time. So much for the house in a rough overview. You can certainly see that there are still all sorts of details to be completed, but the essentials have been done, and we find the house wonderfully cozy and practical. And of course I especially enjoy having the workshop nearby.